Now this is more my speed. We're at Cambrai Cheese, just on the doorstep of Service Park in Nannup, and the sport really supports those who are in it. So this is run by the Wild family. Tom was the winner of this rally in 2012 and was a teammate to Scott Petter over the years and so on. They make an unreal selection of cheeses here. Camemberts, Bries, this French style Mount Folly, unreal.
That's incredible. It looks amazing. And these guys have been running for about 20 years now with 20 different types of cheeses, which is really impressive. I'm keen to dig in.
Can't not come here and try it. I don't think we're taking this back to the team,
I don't think they need any, really.
Not at all.
There's not enough.
There you go.
Thank you. What better way to wrap up the tour than coming to get a delicious bite to eat? And here we are at a place that you've recommended.
It's called the Nannup Brewing Company, just as you come into town. I've been coming to this event at this place since the early 2000s, but the brewing company's only about 4 years old and it's fast become an institution. Great food, good local brews. Cheers to an awesome weekend of rallying.
Our live coverage, EROAD Australian Rally Championship, second round of the 2025 season. Greg Rust and Dean Herridge at the end of Helium 1, stage 1 of the Forest Rally, one of the famed stops on the tour. You just had a nice little snapshot there with my colleague Taylor. Yesterday we took in some of the sights of the area, both Busselton and Nannup, but now the competition proper is underway, and the big story is that this is a fast and flowing stage for the competitors, but the road beneath them is very different to 12 months ago, isn't it?
It was. We're here dry and dusty. We talk about those ball-bearing West Australian roads. Well, today it's slick, and by speaking to Chris Atkinson, the safety officer, a couple of the Zero cars, it's inconsistent. A rally driver's worst nightmare when the road's inconsistent, and particularly you've done some of the reconnaissance when it's been dry. So it's going to be a real test. Even though it's flowing and probably one of the more sort of, I guess, fun stages to do, is such a word, it's going to be a baptism of fire for this weekend.
If you didn't catch our rally show last night from the ceremonial start in Busselton, we have a new addition in 2025, and that is the Bosch Motorsport ballot. So the top three competitors all had to draw their road position. The top three seeded drivers, I should say. Harry Bates and Coral Taylor are car one on the road, so they are kind of pioneering. We'll hear from them very shortly. My colleague Taylor Marlene will be with them at the end of the stage. Quick look though at the schedule for today and tomorrow for this round of the championship. 100 Ks of competitive driving today, 6 stages in all. Slightly shorter tomorrow, but still some very important stages there too.
Yeah, and we of course heat format as well, so points locked away tonight and then we reset for tomorrow. But all of these stages have their own little nuances, and particularly there's a bit of a sting in the tail come obviously power stage as well. 80 Ks of competitive in all on Sunday. So just to recap, expecting the first of the GR Yaris's of Harry Bates and Coral Taylor very shortly. Second car on the road, Lewis Bates and Scott McLaughlin. Scott Petter and Glenn McNeil drew third car on the road in the ballot last night. Help or hindrance given the damper road? Oh, I think the 3 would have been perfect if it was dry. Here it's not as big a deal. There can be some benefit of being car 1. The downside is though you are the pioneer, those slippery bits being caught out. So it'd still be challenging being car 1, but that big dry, loose, sweeping road thing sort of goes away in these conditions.
So we're in a really unique place here. We're right by the roadside. So as competitors transport out from Nannup, just a few minutes down the road, they will literally come past us and head to the stage start, but we can actually hear them weaving their way around the hillside and approaching us at the same time. Obviously, Hayden Patton is with us for this round of the series. Didn't have a great opening round in Canberra, looking to bounce back here.
Oh, and through no fault of his own, to be fair. He was obviously solid, won the first heat. That's a pretty good way to start, but obviously that incident, obviously on day 2 and getting no points, so it really sort of makes a big impact. With a tight championship and such a good field, you can't afford to drop days like that. So he'll bounce back. First time he's been on these roads, of course. He's done lots in Europe and Australia and alike in other parts of the place, but never been to WA on these unique roads.
The Kiwi with John Kennard beside him, they are a great combination, as Dino reflected from their success in the European Rally Championship, as the Zero car actually struggles to get a little bit of traction, rear-wheel drive on its way out.
Surely that's car induced, because I did think it was that slippery right there. But anyway, you did struggle to take off.
Yeah, just to wrap up the point about Hayden, obviously an impeccable record in the New Zealand Rally Championship, done great stuff on the international scene. Fantastic to have them as a combination playing in the ARC
Yeah, and they're
this
the current
year.
two-time European champion. He's won a round of the WRC, the only guy in this part of the world to do that. So, he's a world-class driver. And I think, to be honest, it's excited a lot of the Australian drivers to compete in and around him, because he's at his top of his game. He does a very good job. I mean, X-times New Zealand champion. He's one of the big names around this part of the globe.
Looking forward to seeing what Scott Petter and Glenn McNeil can do as well. That is a newer generation Skoda, and he said to us this morning in Service Park, I know you've been obviously working very closely with him and from the Maximum Motorsport side, the difference between the cars, the generational difference between the previous model Skoda that he competed in last year and this one is like night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's evolution. Every little bit that you want to improve, it's like your road car at home. You jump in one generation to the next. What's different about it? It's the small evolution of all those parts that make the difference, and driver confidence and comfort and being a little bit tighter in the right spot. So, as you would hope, it's improved a little bit everywhere, and he's loving the new car.
We're keeping you up to date, of course, as well on our EROAD Australian Rally Championship social channels, so check back in on those during the course of the day. We'll have updates on Instagram and on Facebook, and of course live on YouTube for the Stage 2. Car is on approach here now, so first of the GR Yaris is coming in behind us. Looks
it's car number one at least, so he's made it through. Obviously, Harry Bates and Coral Taylor. As we said, the pioneers. I mean, look at the car. A little muddy in spots, not massive amounts of mud, but slick, I would say, on top. You can sort of see with the amounts around it, etc. What the conditions are like.
Thank you, Rusty. I have Harry Bates here. Harry, you picked number one in the Bel Air last night. How is it out on the track today?
Yeah, very mixed conditions. What we expected, really, but probably a bit more slippery than I thought. They've clearly had a bit more rain yesterday than I thought, but our run was okay, neat and tidy, just conservative in the sections that were slippery, and it was difficult to read. So at times you're coming up to drier sections that are in the sun, and you're not quite sure. So wasn't fully committed where I could have been, where there was more grip available. But all in all, not bad.
That's awesome. We're really looking forward to seeing your next round. See you out there.
Couldn't quite hear all of the one word that did come through, though, was conservative. So the tone of his voice, too, I reckon that said a lot.
Yeah, and I think starting to know Harry at stage ends, he gets a bit of excitement. He sort of knows how to judge the pace. I think for him, like you say, conservative's right. He said inconsistent, which I think was another part, and that was what I was saying about being the pioneer. It's inconsistent in that regard. We haven't got any times up that I've seen yet. Obviously, that's going to be the telling factor. But for him, that's a conservative start. But remember, this stage last year, he'd had a big drama, suspension, hit a big rock, etc. So maybe a conservative start in this particular rally is not a bad way to go.
Significant, across the bodywork and over the arches and stuff, the mud. So one thing that did sort of become clear from the cars that were going through the stage and clearing the stage, making sure it was safe for our competitors. You mentioned Chris Atkinson before. One thing that was clear is that there were parts where last night we didn't get as much rain as yesterday during the day. So there are parts that are drier, but there are still some sections where it is slippery and sheen on it. That's going to be tricky for them,
Well,
isn't
even
it?
look over his shoulders as Lewis comes through. You've got shadow. So this part, you've got shade. It's been shaded the whole time. It won't get a lot of sun, so it's going to be slick. When you get out in the open area, we've got a little bit of sun out here, it dries a little quicker, drainy. So you've got to pick the surface, the change of colour as it happens. So like we said before, they keep saying in WA every time, though, loose, loose, loose. It doesn't matter whether it's wet or dry, it's loose in WA.
We'll update you on some times as we get them. Taylor's moving in over there now. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm here with Lewis Bates. Lewis, how did it feel out there? You're second on the track.
Yeah, it's tricky. The grip's quite unpredictable, so slippery in places and grippy in places, but same for everyone, but very tricky.
Yeah. You're currently leading the championship. Do you have any strategy for the rest of the day?
Maximum attack. It's hot competition this weekend, so we can't sit back. We'll just keep going for it.
Certainly is. Good luck out there.
So let's take a look. I think, Dino, you've just got a few of the times starting to come through now.
Yeah, looking at that one there, it's 11 seconds in favour of Harry. So
wow.
That's actually a bigger gap than I would have expected on this one. And that might sort of bode in the way that the conditions are, trying to just find your feet. As a driver, you are literally out there on your own. You don't get split times. You don't get to see the car in front. Now he'll reset, have a look at that and go, "Ooh, I've got to up the ante there by probably half a second a K at least to be me and my brother."
So it really does change the general complexion of this event. If for the WA competitors, for example, during the pandemic, this event did run, but not as a round of the Australian Rally Championship. The Forest Rally has this deep history in the ARC. It's run for decades. It was one of the rare times that it didn't run as a part of the Australian Championship, but it did run as a part of the state or WA series, and it teamed down that year, didn't it?
We've had some really, really wet rallies here, and that's what I'm saying. It seems to be slippery regardless. It just becomes inconsistent, which is the drama. It takes a bit of the fun out of it in some ways, but it has this clay-type surface. That's why I say you actually have to start trying to read the road a little bit to try and pick. Also marks. Scott Patton will start to see some marks out there that, Harry's setting, where Lewis is. You're starting to get a bit of a read on how wide they are and where they're going to be positioned and things like that. So, it's a great run for Harry. That's about half a second a K up. Let's see what Scotty Patton's done, but let's speak to them first.
Thanks, Dino. I have Scott Patton here. Scott, you're third out on the run, so the track must be feeling a bit better out there. How is the heat cycle with the tyres?
I think third's probably not the best spot now. It's quite a lot of mud coming up in some places, so maybe car one might have been a little bit better in there. So, but we had a good run, a little bit conservative in some of the places, but I think it'll be an okay start, but I don't think it's going to be that fast, to be honest.
Yeah, some slippery conditions, yeah. Are you looking forward to the next stage? Do you have any strategies in mind?
Yeah, see where we are, and, I'm pretty comfortable at that pace. Car feels really, really good. Glenn's doing a good job, so we just got to keep this pace up and just take the strategy when it comes to us.
You're looking amazing. Good luck.
So the little thing to take out of that is the road is cutting up in places, and in fact, car one is actually potentially better placed at the moment than, say, third or fourth on the road, which would normally be the better spot to be on a rally like this.
Yeah, well, imagine even in your own backyard, and you're driving, putting your push bike through these big puddles. As you go further and further through it, it becomes sloshier, the grip becomes lower. And so that's the part of being car one. You are the pioneer, that's a deficit, but you're actually getting the best of the surface when it's really wet. So when it gets a bit dry and stuff like that, that might change. But in this case, we always would say a wet rally, generally car one can be the place to be. The dry one, is normally where you don't want to be.
My mate Dino, clearly a tearaway on the BMX as a little kid. Just quickly, recap the times for us here too.
So 1.9 seconds for Scott Patton off, so 2 seconds round figures. He'll be happy with that. And like you said, where he's positioned on the road, the car feels good, he'd be pretty comfortable. This will be another telling factor to see how Hayden goes through here. Uber experience, around the world, like we said. He'll be able to adapt to these conditions. Of course, a new tyre for him. Let's see what he's got to say about the stage.
Thanks, Rusty. I have Hayden Patton here. Hayden, fourth out on the road. It must be feeling good now that it's worn in. How did you feel?
Really struggled. The road position's a big disadvantage this morning. It's chewing up a lot. There's a lot of mud. Some places the grip's okay, but some places there's zero grip, and it's just really, really hard to read the grip. So, damage limitations all we can do in this position at the moment until the road's dried a bit more.
Okay, well, hopefully the next round's looking good. Bye.
Neat little sticker on the back of that car. Mark Tapper, Wayne Bell, the Kangaroo, the Kiwi. Just sort of a little acknowledgement of two legends in the sport.
He's been around the sport for a while, and like I said, that's a nice little touch he's got there. I missed the first part of his interview, but the big thing for me is it seems like they're saying I can't really do too much until the roads dry out a little bit.
It's a struggle.
So I think when they, this one's probably a bit more on the trees as we head out to some of the, in my opinion, the trickier stages of the day, stages 2 and 3. It's a little more open, so you have a little bit more chance to get a little bit of sun on the road, and then they can probably start to make a little bit of an impact.
We're looking forward to chatting with Tom Christensen, who's about to arrive. So the Swede is with Maximum Motorsport in the car that Scott Patton competed in last year. He's successfully competed internationally on all sorts of different surfaces, but WA represents something new for him, doesn't it?
I think the question was, have you experienced anything like this? With all my experience around the world and, even, et cetera, WA is very, very unique from that point of view. I feel a little, disappointed for him that this weather's come up because it is a little bit more inconsistent than it would have been ideal, I guess, to say. But, he's very talented. He's a good steerer. Let's see how he's gone through the stage. And just to recap before he comes through, there's Hayden saying, maybe struggling. He's 3.2 up. So far, Patton up from Bates, from Pedder, only 5 seconds after 18 kilometres covers those. So it's Lewis who's probably a little off the pace from that point of view.
That's actually really telling. He sounded flat, Hayden, and didn't sound, but in fact, currently first on the road.
Pretty buoyed by that, I would have thought. So let's see what Tom's got to say.
Yep, move in.
Thanks, Rusty. I have Tom Christensen here. Tom, how did it feel out there? You've got a day of our first time in Australia, first time on the Australian tracks. How did you feel?
It's unbelievable. I mean, the first stage in Australia for me, it's in the books, and it was honestly a really tricky one. It's changing grip all the time, and for sure I have not done this trip and make this effort for the team for just crashing on the first stage. I don't think we made a good pace in there, but I think I need some more time to get into it, but I think it will be fine. But it's a lot of fun, nice flow, so I'm happy for it.
Do you think your results from this first one is going to change how you approach the next stage?
Yeah, for sure. You have a different mindset when starting the stage, because they mentioned in the start that the grip will change, but I'm fine. You know, it's really good and it feels good. So the car is working well.
That's amazing. You look great out there. So good luck.
Not to be confused with Tom Christensen, the Le Mans superstar, driver with the same name, a young man with a great rally pedigree. And here's the story. He is on top right now. That is a dynamite way to start the opening stage of the event. Well done.
It's only 0.8 of a second. That's not a bad way to debut in Australia, is it? I mean, it shows his talent and class. We saw him in the shakedown with how quick he was, etc. But that's an unbelievable run.
So
very
to recap,
impressive.
as we talk live here to you on the EROAD Australian Rally Championship Facebook page, nice to have you with us this morning. End of stage one. Right now, with the first 5 cars through, Tom Christensen, the Swede, is on top from Hayden. Patton, the Kiwi. First of the Aussies, Harry Bates, car 1 on the road, currently third in the standings from Scott Petter and Lewis Bates. There your 5 cars through, and that's how the story looks so far.
I can breathe now. That's been a big effort. Obviously, Tom's been great to deal with, and in that car, Scott's old car from last year, a lot of work by the entire team, so thanks to them. That feels a bit nicer now. We can all sort of relax, and hopefully it settles in now, doesn't get too excited. But.
Well, it can relax a little bit because Toby Price, the Dakar legend, is out there at present too. And this has all kind of come about because Toby's done two rallies, really impressed in those rallies. At the end of the last rally, while they were driving out, has a phone call with Glenn Brinkman, who says, come and drive a Subaru. We'll talk more about that shortly. Next car has arrived, and it's a local too, Alex Rolo. So we'll wait and see if his knowledge kind of helps him here. Taylor, dive in. Let's see how Alex went.
Thanks, Rusty. I have Alex Rolo here. Alex, you're a WA state champion already. How does it feel out there today?
Yeah, we're probably a little bit too cautious in the first half. Obviously just looking out for the damp and muddy spots. So, got our rhythm a bit more to the end, but we got service now, so the plan was to just, make it through and see how we go.
Yeah. Awesome. So your approach to the next round is going to be to go a bit harder or more conservative?
Probably just keep that rhythm we had the back end of this stage. It's quite good, comfortable, car was forgiving, so we'll try to do more of that.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Good luck.
So, Steve Glennie alongside him. Alex heading off. We'll get a time update for you. Now, we are getting a little bit of news. Can't quite confirm it yet, but we understand there may be a car that has rolled in stage 1.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, we don't know either yet.
So a bit loose here at the end of the stage, but obviously what we can concentrate on is how they're going so far. I'm hoping we get Alex's time up shortly. Really interested to see how Alex goes through here. He's now a little more settled. As Taylor said there before, he's won the state championship last year and he's finding his feet. He's becoming more and more experienced. So I'm really interested to see what his time comes through, which is a little off the pace, to be fair, looking at that one there. He's 31 off the lead, which is probably 1.5 seconds a K. He'll be a little disappointed with that run, but he's he's a little closer to Lewis.
The thing that's coming through here is that balance between conservative, because of what the road is like, and bravery, because if you are prepared, depending upon where you are on the road, to have a bit of a crack, it is clearly giving results.
I think what you can see, though, is experience plays a big part there. You've got Harry, Scott, Hayden, and even Tom, international experience. And this is when that comes to the fore. I mean, you can poke your head up and take a little risk or go well on certain road conditions. It's probably a smart play. I mean, this rally can bite. It can bite big time. It's a sport of millimetres in a lot of ways. And this is sort of a settler. And like I said, in these conditions, until you've actually seen the time on the board, you might find Alex goes, listen, I've got a second of K in me. I've got to risk it up a little bit. But where is that? You don't get that gauge. It's not like on circuit where you go, geez, the car in front of me is getting away. I've got to try a little hard these conditions corner by corner. This is 18 Ks before you even get any sort of snapshot on how you're positioned.
Yep. So, I mean, just waiting for the next car to arrive, and I think it's inbound now.
Looks like it could be, let's have a look through here. Yeah, that actually could be Troy Dow, I think.
Troy Dow, yeah, which is good.
Let's have a look through there. So Troy Dow, great to have him in the championship. What will be really interesting there is obviously he's had a bit of experience in Rally 2 cars of late. This is the AP4 car, the Toyota that has won some championships. They're actually being run by Neil Bates Motorsport in this particular event. And really, look, great to have him back. Really interested to see what he found. You know, difficult to learn a new car in these conditions for him.
Taylor.
Thanks, Rusty. I have Troy Dale here. Troy, it's your first round of the Australian Championships. It's so good to see you back in the driver's seat. How did it feel?
Yeah, it was a bit of a tricky stage out there. It was, fairly cautious in some areas and, just trying to stay on the road. It was like a few very slippery corners and, it was a bit hard to judge in like the shaded areas. So, just wanted to get through that one, but had fun.
A few of the other drivers have also mentioned it's very muddy out there and quite slippery. So we're looking forward to seeing your next stage. Thank you so much, Troy.
So from that, another new part for him as well. Of course, Mitch Garrard's on board. He's had Bernie Webb for a number of years, so a new combination to get used to. So, that's a good start, solid start. I think Troy's going about it the right way, trying to just make sure he makes no mistakes, gets through, builds the experience up, and makes that combination work for this year.
What do they take away from the first 18 Ks, and how does that apply to the next stage beyond us here?
Well, I think you get a general feel for it. And like I said, I think they'll be looking forward to getting out of the trees, and when it's open, they'll get an idea. Okay, it's hard packed here. I've got some grip. Where to be careful. It just gives you a snapshot of what to expect. And like you said, you'll then compare your times. You know within yourself, if you're tapped out and go, I don't think I've got much left, but I'm behind, you start to worry a little bit. But a lot of them will go, oh, right, I was a little too conservative there. Okay, when I can see that the road's good and I'm feeling comfortable, I've got to really attack a little bit more. And, we do talk point whatever or a second a K in our language. And so this is 18 Ks. A few of them are a little bit off the pace on thinking where they'd like to be, but you'll find that gap will narrow as they build their confidence and they start to understand the grip levels.
Cars that have arrived here so far at the end of the opening stage have either been Rally 2 machines or AP4 cars. I think we're due Clayton Hoy now, so a little bit of a change of machine there too with the tried and tested, the trusted Mitsubishi.
Yeah, and he's a real talent.
Isn't he?
Kelly on board. Very quick. He knows how to pedal a car, and particularly this one. It's a well-sorted car. Like, if you're going to try and maximise a production car, this is sort of one of those. It's tuned really well. It's at a good weight level. He knows it very well. But first time again for him, I'm interested to see how he goes. He's like I said, in state level in some roads, he's been untouchable in that car and can even match it with some of the AP4s and Rally 2 cars. So, someone like him who's got a bit of experience and is pretty quick and, second-generation driver, he might just surprise a few people in these conditions.
Reminder, during the day, too, we will be broadcasting live on the EROAD Australian Rally Championship YouTube channel and across our social platforms with some coverage, some live end-of-stage coverage for you, too. Something new for the 2025 season. Last year, we did some kind of beautifully crafted day wraps that we would post later in the evening, but we're going to be bringing you some live end-of-stage coverage, you and I in commentary. Good luck.
Because it's help us all. But I think that's part of what's exciting about it. The sport as it evolves, etc. We want to know the information now. And like I said, I think part of the excitement is understanding and trying to read the way that the rally's evolving and the driver comments and what's happening around it live is a pretty exciting thing this year.
So let's quickly recap the positions for you as we stand at the moment. We're at the end of the first stage, and it is kind of an international story in many respects. Young Tom Christensen, who joins us from Sweden in the second of the Maximum Motorsport prepped Skodas that we've seen Scott Petter compete in last year, the older generation car. He is currently top of the times by a slender 0.8 of a second from Hayden Patton, the Kiwi second. He didn't sound that pleased at the end of his run, but he's currently second in the standings. And Harry Bates, first car on the road, but third in terms of our standings or results here.
And as you say, I think when you're early on into the first car and you can't really see the markings and things, so I think Harry will be buoyed by his time. Scott Petter probably be a little disappointed with him. Lewis probably be the most. Out of that top five, he knows he's got to find a little. He's got about a half a second a K to be anything near those top four.
Championship leader by 12 points coming into this round of the series. So we're going to wrap things up here at the end of Helium 1. Hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget our live coverage during the course of the day too, and you'll be able to keep up to date as the day progresses. The first day of the Forest Rally here, round 2 of the championship across our ARC social platforms. On behalf of Taylor and Dean, we'll catch you then. Bye for now.